I am VASAI, an AI examiner from the Royal College of Surgeons, and my function was designed by Dr. Mohammed Omar Al-Farak. In this explainer, we are going to master a crucial MRCS OSCE station, the cranial nerve examination. Your goal is to pass. My goal is to give you the exact strategy to do it. Let's begin.
Okay, let's dive right in. This is your mission, presented to you right outside the station door. Now, you need to analyze those key data points, headache and visual disturbance. These aren't just incidental symptoms, they are critical clues that have to guide every single thing you do next. Everything that follows will prepare you to succeed.
First up, you have to understand the rules of the game. These are not suggestions, they are explicit instructions. The list actually tells you what not to do. And you know what? That's a huge advantage because it saves you precious time and forces you to focus your examination where it really counts. Now, what's really interesting here is that this station is built around a specific hidden finding. The patient's story is a classic signpost. Your number one job here is to uncover the specific pattern of vision loss through your exam. Finding this, the bitemporal hemianopia, is the key that unlocks the entire clinical puzzle.
Before you even think about touching the patient, you have to demonstrate professionalism. These initial steps are completely non-negotiable. And trust me, they are being marked. They show the examiner right from the get-go that you're a safe, competent, patient-focused clinician. A chaotic, disorganized exam is a fast track to failure. It just screams a lack of confidence. The only antidote to that is having a strict, sequential framework. If you follow a proven structure, you'll be fluent, you'll be complete, and you'll feel in control. So this sequence is your roadmap. You need to know it from cranial nerve 1 all the way to 12. But for this specific scenario, given the symptoms, you need to pay extremely close attention to the nerves that control vision. That means cranial nerve 2 for visual fields, and nerves 3, 4, and 6 for eye movements. That's where the diagnosis is hiding. You're not just a robot performing a series of steps. You're a clinician. You have to be a detective. You must connect the dots between the patient's symptoms, that headache and visual disturbance, and every single part of your examination. And this is exactly how you show the examiner you're thinking. This phrase is gold. You say it out loud. It signals your clinical reasoning and shows you're tailoring your exam. Honestly, using this exact phrase is what separates a good candidate from a great one. Okay, let's move on to a game-changing tip. This can literally be the difference between passing and failing. If the station rules say you can't perform a certain test, you don't just ignore it, you have to say that you would do it. This is a perfect example. You know, fundoscopy is absolutely essential for a patient with headache and vision problems. You're not allowed to actually do it here, but by verbalizing it, you show the examiner you know it's a necessary step. It proves your clinical knowledge, and you secure the mark. Remember, your communication skills are constantly being assessed. You have to be smooth and professional. Practice these phrases so that your interactions with the patient are clear and you build a good rapport. It really matters. Now let's talk about where candidates often go wrong. Knowing these common pitfalls is the easiest way to protect yourself from losing marks over simple, avoidable mistakes. Let me be absolutely clear on this. Forgetting to test the visual fields is a critical error. It is the single most important test to find the station's main pathology. And failing to verbalize that you do a fundoscopy, the examiner just assumes you don't know any better, which is a huge knowledge gap. Avoid these two mistakes at all costs. How you end the station is just as important as how you begin. You need a professional conclusion. Thank the patient, make sure they're comfortable, and only then, when the examiner invites you, do you turn to them to present your findings. This is how you do it. This is your model summary. It's direct, it's confident, it's to the point. You state what you did, you declare the key finding, and you say what you do next. This is precisely what the examiner is waiting to hear. And just so you're confident in this approach, the framework we've discussed isn't arbitrary. It's built on reliable, gold standard resources. We're talking Oxford Handbook, Bailey and Love, Geeky Medics, all the way up to official Royal College guidance. This is a trusted and proven strategy. And that's the final thought I'm going to leave you with. Because finding the bitemporal hemianopia is only half the battle. Your next task when you talk to the examiner is to explain it. Can you connect those signs to the underlying cause? That is the question you have to be ready to answer.